enough left in the tank here to push them to the grand finals, or if OpTic is indeed going to reign supreme on their home turf map. It's Nuke between two Danish teams. What a better way to finish off this series. Let's see who's going to win it. Trick start on the T side, OpTic on the CT side, decided by knife round.
That's interesting. OpTic have invested everything into Kevlar. In fact, there's only 2 nades on the whole server at the moment, and both of them are in the hands of Hunden. Already, though, Barup, with that out of control, he's faking it a little bit. He was hoping he can get into secret and take a different direction to be, but look at the rotation that's already there. The CT side saw this coming, however, just connecting the shot seems to be difficult. It trades back for the T side, and they're keeping it in their favor up until the point where MSL is able to even it up.
So Tricked with control of the lower side. Acor's going to go for the plant. Bubsky will hold the double doors. MSL tries to get into a fight a little bit early in order to counter that back out. In fact, both players attempt to push against MSL to find him, but it's not going to work. He realizes that was a possibility, backed up, played it more passively. Refresh has also been noticed just outside of control too, but the shots from Trickter not lining up the way they would have hoped. They're trying to double push both these players, but they over-focused on it, allowing Refresh to jump downstairs, swing over the double doors, and just get both the kills himself. So OpTic will take control of the opening round.
Yeah, Refresh, someone who got off to a little bit of a quiet start in, well, pretty much both of the maps. I don't think he was the standout player in either, but he definitely has the skill ceiling and, well, just the talent to do so. So if he now starts stepping up with kills like that, Tricked really could be in for some trouble. They're going to go for the Force Buy. Now, they do get the bomb plant. This is something you see quite often. But the interesting thing is that they haven't gone for the more standard. Like, what we normally see is if a couple of players have enough for AKs, they drop them over, you buy up some armor, and then you rely on those players. And it's well, pretty much the simple strat. But here, they're going for a lot of SMGs, and they're going to try and go for a fake of a fast take of A. They've thrown in a lot of utility, but they've actually run down Secret instead.
Molly goes up on top there, actually stops a little bit of the play from working too well for the CTs, but rotations are still very quick from OpTic. Config going to be able to shut out so many players. Hunden left as the last man alive, and yeah, Config, who basically just got overwhelmed, is going to be the only death from OpTic this time as they clean it up and get that second round on the board.
The other thing I want to note as well is when watching this game yesterday, Bubsky tries to go down vent most rounds. And it was something that was only ever countered once in their game versus Winstrike. I think it was Bondic went down the vent and just waited for him. And after that, he just let him go back down the vent again. It was one of the main ways that they actually held off rotations and held onto the B side. Already, we've seen Config counter that, and we are in round 2. So that is a bit of a worry, because that was a big part of this game for them. So if he's just going to be stopping that from happening, they've got to adapt. Now, the real way to adapt is obviously then just go A. Because the man down the vent is kind of null and void running up the ladder, unless you're Nexa and you can hit a headshot while flying up, which is rare. It's not going to work out. Already, this round, there's nothing, really. One flashbang on Hunden, a deagle for Bubsky, and the other 2 players with absolutely nothing but their little utility belt. That's what they've got. That's what they're wearing. CT siders should be easy.
Remaining members of Tricked now going to be trying to work their way out through a hut. The smoke doesn't necessarily give them the best odds, though, especially with Refresh having the angle he has. He picks up 3 kills. Config gets the 4th, and it's OpTic to claim round number 3 with no problems whatsoever. Into the next round, though, we'll see full investments finally onto the board for Tricked, and hopefully a better chance for them to pick up the round. But so far, much like the start of Mirage, it's been all OpTic all day.
3-0. But we now get by. This is what we wanted to see. This is where Trick need to rise to the occasion. I think getting an early round for them is going to be fairly important. They look to try and go aggressive, and this is what I'm talking about. MSL now looking to try and counter Bubsky. He's so commonly going into this spot. If he tries it here, he's dead for sure. And they have to try and switch things up, especially considering they're looking to challenge both ramp and outside. It seems like they do still want to try and head in towards this B side, but so early in the round, decisions don't really need to be made just yet. And CTs are more than happy just sitting pretty.
Ts are going to have to sit passively, it seems, for the first few seconds of this as well. No pressure going towards ramp just yet, although Shush is pretty much prepared to do so at a moment's notice. The rest of the team, though, yet to make a decision about where they're going to take this, but you can see them backing up outside on the minimap there to line up nades. These are all going outside, though, so definitely favoring secret control. They're going to try to walk in and, I believe, play into B. This aggression from MSL, though, it's perfectly timed. Nearly catches Barup But he's able to dive into the smoke, saves his life for a couple of seconds, ultimately still ends up going down to Nico. Testis as well, ready to stop the push. He's going to pick up 2, tries to go for the 3rd, but Hunden is going to get the better of him. Nico and Config move into the ramp, though, to stop the rest of that round as OpTic claim a 4th.
This is looking clean from OpTic as well. Like, none of these rounds I've been sat here calling it into question and saying, oh no, maybe they would have lost this, or maybe if this happened. This has pretty much just been them dominating. And I think the real difference is, you have to remember, they've slot 1 player in, but Nuke has always been a decent map, even for like any roster that's had MSL in it. Like, he's been very good at this map. Now you take into the fact that the team that they lost to, Tricked, yesterday, was Winstrike, who have had their roster for 2 weeks. Like, they've had Elian added in before, but they've also only just added Edward in, rehauled the whole squad, and made him in-game leader, and lost their best player. And they still lost this map to them. It is not looking good.
It's not looking good at all. Into another eco round we go. It's actually a deco round when you look at everything Tricked have invested into it. Just Eagles with armor being bought up behind it. Testis. One player's been stopped by Config, and now it's his turn. Trying to pick up some players towards ramp. MSL is going to get pressure from Hell. Nice little jump. Actually allows them to take on MSL, but Config and Refresh from up on top. Able to quickly turn this back under the control of OpTic. And it seems that MSL Acor is able to change up the game. Will indeed be the only victim this round for OpTic. Another round that they have easy control over. Ticker keeps going up. 5-0 now over Tricked.
I honestly imagine that there was a form that Testis had to fill in when he was joining this team. And it's literally said like 3 things on it. It's like, where are you from? What is your name? What site do you play? And he put B, and that was it. Because look, every single time, he's the B site anchor on Train, he is the B site anchor on Mirage, and now he's holding the ramp for B. Like, this guy has been put into so many pivotal roles for this team, and he has done a great job considering this is his first tournament, and pretty much one of his first showings for the team overall. Either way, a much better start. Nico is gone. MSL is now going to be the one holding towards that secret spot, but it's not really too challenged at the moment. They've got players around it, but it seems like the T's want to wrap around and gather up even more map control.
With the rest of Tricked, like you said, working their way around, trying to get more map control built up at this point. Hunden prioritizing outside as they've actually been able to get a whole lot for free out here. 2, if not 3 members of Trick working their way up into heaven right now. Tess is still watching for a ramp play, but he's going to have to probably rotate back in a second and help out with the action at heaven because there's no one here from OpTic. Tricked have walked right in. OpTic shouldn't really be aware of this either, so this is going to be a lot of real estate for free. They're going to walk right in, pick up the first 2 kills as both the site players just deleted. This is easily the most one-sided round we've seen for Trick so far in the game, and I mean, it should already be over, basically. Testis and MSL are way off site. They don't really have positioning to do anything. And do they even want to risk it?
Probably not. They've got a little bit of extra money in the bank, especially when you consider, say, Config with $10,000. Like, they could look to do a bit of damage, especially change it from a 5 alive. But I think after MSL being tagged and spotted, it's not really worth taking too many risks. And they're just going to be patient, wait out this one. But a great way for Trick to get onto the board. Like, the fact that it was so clean, every single player seemed to be chiming in, like it's 3 different players finding them the opening kills. That's an important way to kick off your T side, but now they've got to really build into it. Like, okay, sure, they won't be reset if they lose this round, but just mentally, if you manage to win 1 round like this and then lose 1 straight back, we're getting into win strike territory again.
Even more recently than that, we're getting into the territory of what we just saw in Mirage, basically, where we had that same issue. Guys are Tricked, only able to pick up single individual rounds and then immediately being traded out right after that. Do not want to fall into that same pattern once again. So let's hope those that are hoping for Trick to win this series, that they can find some consistency from this point forward. It's going to be Molly's coming down early on for this. He needs to hold back any attempted quick A pushes. Bubsky will actually catch Config trying to go into the corner, but the smoke is not anywhere near far enough out. So Nico easily catches Bubsky trying to work his way down into the vents.
It's too predictable. It's way too predictable at this point. Oh, hello. Okay, just trades back. I'm going to just try and ignore what just happened. That was so fast for both players to die. MSL doesn't expect Barup to be that far forward. Testis has rotated in, though. He's going to hear, or at least have a guess, that there's somebody above him. Barup looking down, though, and he's going to get his 2nd kill of the round. It's left all on to Refresh. 1 death to his name, but that was in the last round. 3 players to find, and it looks like they're going to go rotating to B, but he will join them.
He's going to work his way down into the vents. He's got a good cutoff point for this. More than likely expect him, though. It's going to be that problem. So Shush immediately shuts him out. That's Trick's number 2. Talked about consistency. 2 rounds in a row is not a bad start, but let's see if they can do a little bit more than that.
Yeah, it's a good start to their T side for sure, but waiting to see what will be in play for the CT side here. A great round coming out from Barup to really turn this on its head, because up until that point it was pretty much just trades, but he puts it down. Still, there's enough money for the CTs to purchase again, so the pressure is not gone. Spray through does a little bit of damage to Nico, but it's basically an even trade. I really want to try and force people off of this angle. Bubsky is missing his vent. Tessus is going to be pressured again.
Smoking off the ramp. Tessus will have a little bit more freedom here. The rest of Trick aren't really pressured for time. We've already seen a few low-timed executes go pretty well for them. They don't really seem to be stressed out by that. Plus it's Nuke too, so you kind of have to be used to playing under that type of pressure. So backing up, outside smokes, I think are going to be the name of the game here again for Trick. So probably favoring secret control. No one actually lined up to push outside this. This is going to be kind of a sudden move from Trick, putting all 5 players into outside and trying to shuffle for that control downstairs.
With a minute left, they start their shuffle. Slowly moving down. Now there's already a player waiting for them on the other side. 40 seconds left. Nico's going to be able to hold them back just a little bit longer. Waste a bit more time, and that's the thing. The second he spots them, that's when the real rotation will begin from the remaining CT players. He's just looking for the headshot angle, but there's the Molotov. That should be the call. That should be the moment where somebody starts their rotation. Doesn't actually see too much. Nico is going to be able to find the kill, but with 20 seconds left, they now look to make their way onto the side. The door opens. He's not ready for it. However, Tessus has come down from the ramp. They need to close him out before they can get the bomb down. That's exactly what they'll do, and now Hunden has the chance to plant.
3v3 in the post plan here. Multiple members of OpTic trying to get themselves into position. A lot of utility still on the ground from Trick, though, in order to hold these guys back. We're up. He's going to have a good chance to find impact here over towards the ramp in just a moment. In fact, he's lined up perfectly for it. The first shot's a miss. Next just here, confirmed the first target. Goes for the second one instead as MSL dies first. Config quickly falls afterwards, though, and Refresh is left with nothing to do. A 1v3 put before him. He's got to save. His team's out of money. So besides him, they're not really going to have any buys going into the next round. He'll take the AUG into it, and Trick will pick up a 3rd.
Yeah, they're only going to be able to get a pistol or 2, but that round definitely looked like it could have gone the other way, like with Nico's positioning, baiting out the time, and then getting that little bit of extra information, but it was only really Tessus who rotated in time. Everybody else was sort of still hesitant, and it's understandable. Like, if you see players Molotov from Secret, they can very easily just run back up and go to A. Like, it could easily have been a fake. Unfortunately, the risk not taken and, well, the reward not gathered. As now, OpTic, well, it really is just a single Deeg, a saved weapon, and that P250 picked up for Nico. Other than that, they have nada going into this, and a very good chance for a 4th round already on the T side.
Let's see if Trick are going to be able to do it. Should have an easy time with this, but still a slow windup, as you might expect for these guys. So they'll start working their way towards a ramp to start. Bit messy, but they're getting the kills they need. Hunden and Shush, though, nearly losing their lives in the process, but haven't been traded out too much just yet. MSL is going to get caught trying to push into Hut. Config may suffer the same fate relatively soon, but no, he dies in the site instead due to Bubsky. All Nico left alive now. Should be an easy 4th round for Trick at this point.
Yeah, they don't really have a reason to go down, but
they do it anyway.
Yeah, I don't really get that. Like, I think especially if you know that you're against pistols, like that's one of the main ways you can actually lose your gun, is just jumping down into the vent, especially when it's not clear. But maybe just because his teammates are already on B, you sort of assume, oh, someone must have checked here, and they haven't. But there's a good chance for Nico to actually get a save. Again, I don't know how much they're going to try and hunt down this remaining weapon. They do have a fair bit of cash themselves, so being on the T side, your buys are already cheaper. And with Barup, he's going to be well over $10,000. They could try and hunt this, but just playing it safe. 4th round accumulated, and Oh, what was such a good start from OpTic is slowly being brought back by Trick.
Start, potentially a better response, though. That's the thing from Tricked, especially with already about 5 rounds picked up soon, or soon to be 5 rounds here if they can put one more on the board for Tricked. It's not a bad T side on Nuke, especially if they're going to be able to continue trading out rounds from this point forward with the remaining 6 that we have left. But of course, OpTic, they've been broken the last couple rounds. They've been working with lackluster buys. They've rebuilt their economy a bit more, and now they've got a full buy going, so another big test for Trick coming up right here. Let's see if they can thrive under the pressure. Because of course, they have to start things slow once again. Barup, though, might find himself a little bit of action early on, so he's gone for the outside play. No one else really with him, though.
Nico just being spammed down through a gap towards the door. Like, that was through the vent that they're spamming there. Bubsky knowing his angles, that's for sure. Smoke gonna go down. Oh, almost does enough. He's got an elevated angle, so Config's pre-fire won't connect onto him. MSL now looking to try and hold on to outside. I think that's an important point, that the secret control that Tricked have been able to get for free has been one of the main reasons they've had so much success on this T side. Is they've just gone B. They've been able to negate a lot of the defense on this A side. In fact, I can't think of a round in a while where they've actually just gone straight into A.
Well, for the guys on OpTic, the other good thing going for them in this round is that Tricked are going to have a lot more solid control of a ramp this time. You're not relying on a play which is a deagle or something like that. So if Trick try to play into ramp, which it looks like they're doing right now, they can actually delay this and hold it back for a whole lot longer. There you go. Tessus already getting some good damage going. The CTs will actually smoke them, or the Ts, excuse me, will actually smoke themselves off. But regardless, Tessus is going to be pushed back. Still going to be ready for the hit when it works its way downstairs. A 2-for-1 trade is how it begins. MSL still watching the door. He's going to miss the next exchange, but makes up for it. Inside of control, 2 more picked up by him. Acor, the only one left. He'll trade MSL, but now he's alone, 1v3, completely missing Nico down below the steps.
Yeah, perfect positional play from MSL AllPing there. He just sets himself up on angle after angle. It's a line of fire that they have to peek into, and he has the advantage. And the main way he gets his kills there is purely based off movement. Like just falling back, holding a new spot, and then finds every single kill needed. They're back on the board after what was a hiatus of 4 rounds, and now they got a pretty damn good buy on their side.
Rest of Tricked. Again, going to be trying to play for outside control with 2 of their players at the beginning. Going to be Acor, I believe 1 other with them. Bubsky still trying to make this vent play. Actually makes it through this time, but yeah, predictability once again. MSL's waiting downstairs with the op. He immediately picks off Bubsky.
They've been direct countering him throughout the CT side, and he has not adapted.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing he keeps going for it, right? Like, he's like, it's got to work one of these times.
They're not going to be holding it again. But there's no real like weakness for them holding it. MSL really has come into his own in the last couple of rounds. Another big impact frag. Still, though, Hunden and Shush have turned this into a 3v2. Sure, Hunden's only on 6 HP, but we've seen them do more with less. We've spoken a lot about his individual fragging power throughout this, but it's not going to come into play this round. MSL, miss shot, will be overwhelmed. Shush with the corner. Able to pick him off. Now this man has had some impeccable rounds for his team. Looking to try and close out Config, but takes a lot of damage in return, and then refreshed with the flank. A 7th on the board. Still, though, finances were ludicrous for this T side, so I think their buy should be comfortable.
We'll check that out when we go into the next round. But it's again OpTic continuing to take control, making sure that they limit Trick's capability to pick up more off of this T side. Not that it's bad at all, like I said. The amount of rounds Trick has already gotten is good. They certainly want to try to stretch for about 5 or 6 here if they can. Or that they have is not a terrible bet either, if that's what they're going to end up on the half with. So we'll end up in a pause. Soon it's going to come from the Trick side of things, as they need to figure out a quick counter to some of the aggression they were going up against there from OpTic in the previous round.
Yeah, it's actually interesting that on, for example, Train, the AUG had like massive impact in terms of how much this map changed. And although I do think like in terms of outside and how you're able to fight from heaven more easily with the AUG, I still think that Nuke is actually still way more T-sided than it was at least back in the day. Like that, it hasn't actually impacted it massively. So Tricked, although 4 rounds, it's sort of the bare minimum you'd want. If they can get a few more, I think they'll be feeling much more comfortable. MSL, again, 3 rounds in a row, he's had impactful frags. I don't think he got the opening pick in the first one, but the last 2 he has. And well, with limited utility and already, like this is the thing, there was money for Trick. This is not like they didn't have the nades. This is just that this early into the round, they've already expended this much utility.
Money is still going to start to become a problem for Trick, though, following this round. It's been reduced pretty heavily. Rest of them, though, going for outside control. They've got, I think, a pretty complete wall there. At least to counter out the setup that OpTic have, as Nico is going to try to do as much damage as possible. A little bit of spam back, though, is going to hurt him a whole lot more than he hurt them. But the intel is gathered. OpTic will be able to appropriately rotate with a good 30 seconds or more of warning here, and now Trick have to be wary of this when they execute. OpTic are down here. They are waiting for them.
Yeah, this time they do gamble the rotation. I mentioned it before that they were very slow in their decision to rotate towards the site. This time they feel they have the information. Test up above already spots one, but it's a very quick trade. However, trades are fine for the CT side. They're the ones with the man advantage. Refresh now pounces out, finishes off one, but again, it's the trade back from Bubsky. Here's the trade machine. As he gets one more, and well, he now needs to trade back the rest of the team. The problem is, he's looking to try and double back. He's been spotted. All the information's there to be had, and even getting a bomb plant now is going to be tough. He tries to jump back down. Him and that vent. He just can't go up it without falling back.
Give him credit for creativity there at the end as he tries to at least take the duel head on, hoping to catch them off guard, but it just does not play out the way he would have hoped. Another round is claimed for OpTic, and they'll continue to push ahead now. Just a few left in the half. OpTic seems to have the number for Tricked here, and even better, they've put them back down to where they started on broken buys and no additional money left in their banks. You can see it's going to be a pretty desperate buy from Trick. Probably going to be a faster play this time out of the A site, and that's exactly what we're going to get. A lot of nades going out against OpTic and blinding them, but not to find Config. He's going to pick up a triple. Already the Tricked roster being decimated by him. The bomb going down into the site. Nico's got the read on the pour-up, so he's going to fall. Just Hunden left in the hut.
Yeah, important triple as well coming out from Config there. This Refresh completely gets overwhelmed. If he meets the same fate, then this could have easily swung into the favor of Tricked with a couple of weapons picked up and the site under their control. So again, big impact from, well, the big man in the server. 13 and 6 at the moment, the top fragger overall. And the worry I have is, I spoke about it at the beginning of the game, that Acor, in terms of his impact, minimal. And it has been minimal once more. The T-side AWP, it's a tough beast to tame, and I don't think he's quite got it down.
So Tricked again, trying to play quick. We're up, dropping in on Mini. Picks up a kill to start things off. Refresh and Config are keeping pace, however, with the aggression from Tricked, or at least it seems that way. Testa is quickly moving back up and confirms the round for OpTic as they react very quickly to the fast play from Tricked.
That round was over in 25 seconds. That was insanely fast. Just a run through. Again, it's just trades back, but it basically came down to who could make the most ridiculous play. Like, Tessa's jumping up the vents in the end is the one to close things out. And again, I think it has to be mentioned that he is playing well once more within a team that's brand new to him. So great work from him just adapting to this roster. Spray through will do a lot of damage to Bubsky. That door has not been his friend throughout this match, and the vent has been even lesser.
Rest of Tricked in the meantime here, trying to figure out what they can do. It's the last round of the half. Need to find some kind of impact here, hoping that they can get the 5 rounds. They're going to walk right into Tessus' lineup, though. 2, now 3 kills for him as he marks the head of Acor out. Config finds Bubsky. It's all on Borp now in the 1v3 situation. He won't even make it out the door, though. MSL cuts him out, and it's OpTic to claim round number 11. A dominating scoreline, one of the most dominant we've had so far in the tournament at halftime, and we're just going to have to see if Trick can bounce it back. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, right after this with a continuation of the match.
One more half to decide our first finalist. Will it be OpTic or Tricked to get themselves to that grand final and then have a pop at getting to a DreamHack Masters and picking up that trophy? It is going to be OpTic now onto the T side with a hefty lead. The door going to be broken as they head towards the ramp, and Shush is waiting.
Oh, rest of OpTic trying to quickly get their way out onto ramp here, but they end up pulling away from it, back over towards lobby and onto the A side. Config doesn't seem to mind it too much, though, as he runs over A-Core quickly, followed up by Baruch.
Oh my god.
They'll lose MSL and Tessus in the process, but still, Config gets a third kill now as well. Puts OpTic well into the lead in this round. The last two CTs going to try to work their way in from heaven. No positioning to play off of, though. Nico shutting them both out. OpTic keep this lead rolling right on now at 12-4 over Tricked. T-sided pistols seem to be the way that things just go between these two teams.
Yeah, this at the moment, we sort of heard Config, like, before the game, like on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever you like, saying that Monday was going to be the day he returns. He has returned. Like, he has had a phenomenal series. I think 20-plus kills across each map. I'm not sure about the first. Obviously, it was so dominant that him getting kills was still impressive. But he was a big part of their win on Mirage, and he is a big part of their lead when it comes to this map. Tricked taking the decision to go for a force buy. They are so far down, and, well, if they lose this one, probably have to take an eco and then just fight back from 14. Not the position they wanted to be in. Let's see if they can make things work. Refresh is already going to deny Shush aggression. It does seem like OpTic that have been so good at sort of quelling this team's pushes, at least in the last two maps, but will at least manage to get one.
Let's see. OpTic looking to take more and more control over this now. Bubsky being the most recent victim. Hundred and Baruch, unfortunately, kind of out of the action right now. Plant's going to be going down on the A site without any resistance to it. And for the last two CTs, like I said before, just not really in position to find much of an impact now, so we'll have to try and save it out until the next round. As OpTic are going to go up to 13, meaning, well, Tricked, you've only really got one or two more chances to stop OpTic. Again, we need to see them be the picture of consistency on this CT side when they do finally get some buy-ups coming out on the next round or so.
That's the problem, though. They weren't. Like, when we watched them on this map before, there was nothing consistent about it. It was very sporadic and, like, aggressive. Like, I remember their whole series versus Windstrike. There was rounds on Train as well where they'd win with 5 players alive. They'd then lose with the other team having 4 players alive. Then they'd win with 5 players alive. Like, it wasn't like they were consistently just streaking out rounds. It was some stuff worked amazingly well, and then some stuff didn't work at all. And that is how sporadic a lot of their rounds have been, like very aggressive, taking fights. Like we saw in the last half, Bubsky, he tried to challenge that vent so many times, and he lost so many times because OpTic knew he was going to do it. And I think that has to be credit given as well, maybe even to like Ruger as well, just saying like, OpTic have come into this map knowing exactly what they're doing.
Tricked, on the other hand, I think are still figuring things out a little bit. And as a result of that, it may end up costing them the series. You can see Tricked. Still not a very big investment going into the 18th round for them. Not they could really afford to when you look at the money they have left over. So it's mainly just pistols. Baruch had the saved MP7 from the last round. And away from that, very minimal utility coming in. It's one of their only smokes getting chucked out there by Hunden to try and hold back the mini plays. Also going to try to play around it. MSL read into that, though, from a mile away. Immediately catches Hunden. Now OpTic have all of outside under their control.
Yeah, and they're still playing patient. They're still playing safe. They know that these sort of rounds are going to be where you're going to get ridiculous aggression from Tricked, and they're going to try and basically do something with very little. Like, that's what they have to do. Like, if you just sit and play a normal round with weaker weapons, OpTic are going to rip you apart. Instead, they've opted to try and stack into this A site. SMG is going to be running rampant. There is going to be trades, but somehow they've done a lot of damage. The Zeus goes and he gets the kill as well. It's left all onto Nico. Somehow this round has turned on its head. He's left into the 1 versus 2. Fuck it out and they win it. That is ridiculous from Tricked.
What a hold. And unfortunately, the guys from OpTic just end up walking right into the trap. Beautifully played by Tricked. Just when we thought they had reached the end of their rope, they bring it back and pull off an amazing round that it's got the potential now to skyrocket them back into it. We'll see how the next few rounds go, but that's a start. Now the question, and the question that we've been asking ever since Mirage is, can Tricked keep it going? Is this going to put OpTic onto an eco here? A-Core quickly catching Nico. He makes the mistake of jumping over that box as they try to push outside. He's got a few more kills potentially coming his way too, as there is no utility from OpTic, and they are trying to push Secret. A run boost, in fact, I think in a second here to try and do it. Just a boost up instead.
Yeah, just hoping for an angle that maybe Aiko won't expect. Now, he's definitely going to have a bit of a confidence boost. I imagine that last round will help them quite a lot, because it's one they never should have been able to take. And considering for him especially, that T-side was brutal. Like, it didn't suit the style that he normally has. It didn't fit his AWP in. And I think that's something that definitely needs to be looked at when it comes to their T-side, is either don't have it or you utilize it better. Because I think that it wasn't really used, and when it wasn't effective.
So Tricked, of course, have now been sitting back and waiting for OpTic to make their next move here. OpTic trying to find a way to still piece things together on this round, but I think that possibility is long gone now. Config and Teslas are the last ones left in the fight. Both trying to push for control of hell and heaven together. They're only going to end up walking, in some respects, right into the setup for Tricked, and in others, right into one of the sites, which, of course, will have plenty of members from Tricked waiting into it. Config, plenty of chances to hit that shot, and he finally does it. He'll drop back downstairs. He's got to retrieve the bomb. Waiting down here is Shush, trying to go for the angle. Some good attempts at shots, just none landing. Shush will take him out, gets those last 2 kills, and it's another round for Tricked.
Even still, that was the easy round. That was the round that they had to take. Now comes the round where they're actually under pressure once again. Now, the thing that you have to take into consideration from OpTic's perspective here is they've lost the round that they shouldn't. They get ahead of themselves and the game slips away, and, well, they're never going to forget that one, and it can definitely creep into the back of the mind. At least for now, they are fairly far ahead. In the last map, it started to happen a little bit, with Trick looking to try and drag things back to overtime. They definitely have it in them to streak rounds. We just haven't seen it yet on Nuke. That's been the problem for me. It's like, you lost some rounds like that to Winstrike. Individually, I put OpTic on a way higher platform. Like, you've got players like Config who have been rated some of the best in the world, and is showing it at the moment, why he is a level above. Here we go, Hunden, about to be coming under pressure. Will just use his utility to fall back, but there isn't much of that left. And Config just rips his head off. Looks to make the play towards this site. He wants that grand final. He wants that trophy. Minute on the clock, and they're already down towards B.
They're certainly going to get a chance at that. Borup works his way in to find Refresh. Shush! What a transfer to find Tessus. Won't matter much, though, with Config picking him up. We need to see the remaining 3 members of Trick get into position, and soon. Borup, low from the fight before, is backed up. Doesn't want to take any direct contest, but now Config, left alone, gets pushed by Borup, and Trick turn it around, picking up their 7th, 6 away from tying the scoreline against OpTic.
Yeah, Shush never should have got away with that. Like, it's impressive from him, but you have to feel that there needed to be some sort of trade there. When it did come in, it was a little bit too late. That shot is just disgusting. Like, absolutely disgusting. But then that is equally as gross. So, 13 and 7. Once again, we're back to pistols, and, well, it looked like MSL was going to try and brute force that, maybe hoping for a bomb plant. Well, the utility is prepared and ready for this Trick side. They don't want to allow any vent control. It was the same for the other side. Oh, almost punished. Actually is punished. Yeah, it may have been quite funny, but you've lost the player just to shut the door in the faces of this T side. Can they get anything more done? Not looking like it. Hunden, in fact, cleaning things up. Nico tries to double back, but there are players waiting around that angle, and he will get nothing done. And now Refresh, caught in a corner, bomb down on the site. You have to do something fairly impressive to get out of this.
Yeah, basically just going to sit here and probably wait for the push to come in from Tricked in the door, which I don't even know if we're going to get that. Had the lineup for a headshot there. Looked like it was going to strike true, but not the case this time. Bubsky gets it instead for Tricked. They pick up their 8th round. Well on their way now on the comeback here. It's just, there's so many rounds they need to get, and we haven't seen a consistent string of them won by Tricked since the first map.
Oh, here we go. Once again, we have a buy round for OpTic. AK-47's AWP yet to come in. A lot of utility expended early on, maybe expecting that there's going to be a fast play. Just bait out a lot of counter utility, and instead the Ts are just waiting. maybe hoping that somebody pushes into their hands and gives them an opening kill. Instead, it's going to be MSL just probing out towards that outer spot. Smoke going to go down to allow him to cross, and should start to see some build-up play from OpTic, setting up some of their nades and getting ready to push into one of these sites.
Let's see from OpTic. Not necessarily going to be fearful too much just yet of a potential comeback from Trick, but they've got to start to respect them a little bit more now. They certainly have woken up a bit. They're putting up a good fight, that's for sure. They want this final as well. They want the opportunity to prove themselves here on a global stage. They're going to get it if they can make their way through to the final. Borup, an aggressive play from him, but on top of Bubski's pick, it works out as it's a 2-for-1 exchange. Hunden working with Bubski. They have a pretty nasty crossfire here from the inside of Mini. That's going to completely decimate the remaining push from OpTic. Leaves only Config in the fray now. 1v4 beset against him, and he just does not have a right to initiate in that A site. He's going to try to go ramp. It's actually open, so he might be able to kind of run away and get a plan on B. He's making his intentions obvious, though. That's the problem. The flash is a dead giveaway for A-Core. He lines up the shot, picks him up before he can make his way down the ramp, and that's number 9 on the board now for Tricked.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit close for comfort, and you can tell from the pause that I think OpTic are feeling the same way. They had such a dominant position, and one round, one eco round that never should have been, has thrown this whole map up in the air. Because that's the difference. That is literally it. Like, that would have been them on 14 needing to just get one round, but instead, I don't know how much of a mental impact it would have had onto OpTic. You have to think at least a bit, but in terms of the mental game for the opposing side, it's massive. Like, you stole a round with absolutely nothing. That is enough to hype you up to beyond, like, crazy. And the fact is, that's what these younger players seem to need. Like, you win a round like that, and that's what pumps you up. A lot of them will not have the same mental fortitude as, say, someone like Hunden, who's been playing in the game for years and years and years, or MSL in the same sort of regard. So a round like that can make all the difference.
A lot of utility coming out from both sides. OpTic trying to molly and prime the A site, but in reality, actually pushing themselves out through Secret. Bubski's going to be able to catch Refresh. Closer towards A, but the rest of the team, although they are Lightbot, makes their way downstairs. MSL's going to split into the vents while the rest of the team works their way towards the site. Tricked, of course, have noticed this, so they've started to rotate down a little bit early. Shush having the catwalk position. A few of their players ready to rotate down into ramp and vent. Molly trying to hold A-Core back, but he gets aggressive, pushes into Testas. They also know Shush is here. He's going to look the the right way to get a kill, but the wrong way to multi-frag as Nico jumps out of control and catches him. It's great timing on these executes right now coming in for OpTic, and it's only going to continue as MSL chases down. Borup finds him, knocks about half the HP off of Hunden, turns his back, which ends up being a mistake, and with Bubski's pick on Nico, OpTic are right back in the hot seat now as Testas is alone.
Do they know where he is? They don't, but they do now. He's missed the first shot, the second as well. Maybe too much pressure for the young man on the block. He's going to be overwhelmed. An attempt to try and close this out, but it isn't going to be happening. And one of my favorite things about that round, I don't know if anybody in the crowd saw it, is MSL's face when they both walk past. His eyes just opened as it's just like, they've gone past. But unfortunately, he's unable to get Hunden, and that was actually the difference maker in that situation. A nice attempt. I think if he has anything other than a CZ, like maybe a 5-7 and can just spam, then he has a bit more of a chance, but OpTic close. And these rounds have got to keep you on edge. The odds now swaying back. It was I think 6 to like 1 point something just moments ago when OpTic were in the lead by a bigger margin. The fickle fans, the betters, are switching their options.
Well, Tricked have certainly done a good job of convincing our GG bet odds that they've got a chance at this one. Can they actually do it? It's a slow start on this round. They lose Bubski trying to get aggressive over here by Squeaky. A few other players still trying to play around with it, and most notably OpTic is there ready to spam back at it. But OpTic also has other intentions too. They're trying to play for outside control, similarly to some of these past rounds where they're going to go for Secret. That is probably going to become their mainstay strat here, at least for this round, as they pull out of lobby and send the rest of the players outside to rejoin.
The CT side needs something here. That's a great nade, and actually the tag he hits as well will even things up. Hunden able to do a fair bit of damage, and now Shush gets into position. Hiding back, Hunden's found another one. really trying to lead by example, and they don't expect him in the corner. A double down from Shush, one more to go. Nico rounds the corner, and he will hit the deck as well. A fantastic round coming out from Trick. They lose the man advantage, but they break back with a heap of frags.
Great from Shush, a good find as well out in the outside part of the map where they were able to catch this play happening. They'd been convinced earlier on in the round there was going to be a lot of aggression from the lobby, potentially going into the A site, but thankfully they spot the outside play. The pick is found as well with that really great nade we had when they were pushing it. I think that gave them the intel they needed to suggest that the play was changing up. Right into it, got their players downstairs early yet again, which Trick have been doing a really good job of that, by the way. And we're able to counter it appropriately. And I think they're going to have to do the same thing once again. This time they're just not entirely sure, so they smoke off Secret to try and buy them a bit more time, and this is indeed going to be another play downstairs.
Yeah, they've already got Barup in position. Got Shush there as well. Like, they are going for these early reads. I wonder if we'll eventually see some sort of fake back. The nade is ridiculous. Over 150 damage just by that alone, and now Barup can just look to try and tap away at these softened players. These are all buy rounds that are coming in at the moment for the T side, but they are starting to dwindle, starting to come under pressure from, well, what is a team that's far lower in the Danish rankings and in the general, but maybe there's a hero here, MSL. As he's found one back, looks to push through the smoke. He's going to catch out another in the form of Acor. Now it's MSL's chance to lead. And actually, Nico's caught off one more. What was looking like such a good round, so much damage done, is left all onto Hunden. A 1 versus 3 for him as he peeks back in. Tesses puts him down. And OpTic, they've got their 14th round, but it's taken far longer than expected.
Yeah, the key difference being made this time is Trick don't get that advanced intel that they had been getting in so many of these secret pushes. OpTic's been very one-dimensional in that respect. They haven't really been varying their play. Trick has done a really good job of forcing their hand into just constantly going for either ramp pushes or secret pushes, and normally Trick has known this well in advance, has been able to rotate players downstairs, and even past that, still normally have a pretty good read on where exactly OpTic are going to push. But they lost that last round, and it really seemed to affect them, especially players like Shush got knocked out without any response inside of control.
Hunden escaped. I'm actually quite surprised. He went so aggressive at the beginning of the round, but manages to retreat. All in all, it's probably just going to mean this will take a fair bit more time for OpTic to actually isolate this outside portion, which they have been given for free a fair bit over the last few rounds. There's only been, say, a spray through smoke or an AWP shot attempted. Other than that, they've been able to get in secret, but Trick don't really seem to mind. Now they're looking like they're actually going to go for the wraparound play. I like this, a switch up, but Acor's waiting. It's still only going to be a trade as Config finds the first. A second attempt to take down Acor fails. They're still going to continue to push in that direction and maybe even just opt to go for Heaven instead.
Config going to make a lot of noise jumping up onto Heaven that was more than likely heard by Acor. So the call should have gone out to the players in the A site. They'll be aware of him if he goes for it. You can see, yeah, Bubsky paying attention to that now. Warp in the meantime, he's going to make a push at a mini. Walks right up to Testis, bye-bye. Knocks him out and gives Trick back the man advantage. Bubsky not necessarily paying attention to Heaven anymore. There's still that imminent threat, but thankfully it's covered by Borup instead of Mini, although not as consistently as I'd imagine they'd like. The rest of this is going to be attempted to be pinched from Mini here. Oh, this is actually going to be bad for the guys on Trick. They don't have the manpower on the site that they need right now. Nico moves in, finds Borup. That's Mini control gone. Other players are still busy with ramp. Config already has control of Heaven. He's going to knock out 2 easily here. And with the final kill being found deeper in the site by Nico, OpTic get up to map and series point.
Yeah, everything worked in their favor then. The flashbang actually hits the man who was peeking out from Mini. And because of that, he turns away from the position that he was initially watching and gets closed out instead. Then Config is able to take that control into Heaven. And the remaining rotating players did not stand a chance. Tricked with their almost last-ditch effort. This buy is not a particularly good one. An aggressive play from MSL, looking for that opener once more. They know he's here, and already 2 kills come in for Trick. Maybe we're not done yet as they get another couple. It's left onto Nico and Refresh again. Up against the wall. Trick just seemed to start kicking. Barup with another. There is just no easy way to close this team out.
Well, Refresh is going to get the door shut in his face. He'll at least be able to use that to get the bomb back under his control. But he's trapped now. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, unfortunately. He is stuck on the approach to Squeaky. Can't even really push back into lobby for fear of someone being on the inside of Hut right now. So he's just going to plaster himself right here behind the red boxes. Take a nice duel versus Borup. Get him down. But Hunden, a moment later, pushing back into lobby, takes him out. There you go. Tricked are not done just yet. 3 more, and they take this to overtime.
This is sort of exactly what you want. Like, I always like series where each team like wins their map and shows some dominance, and then you go into the third, and it seems to be a level playing field because it's just been an impressive showing from both. Like, there's been some problems, there's been some mistakes, that's for sure. But now things really do get interesting. And even though the T's had a reasonable amount of cash, they're not going to be able to buy 2, 3 players with limited money. Well, I think it was 2. Config's actually bought up a Deagle and Kevlar, so he clearly had a little bit extra to spare. So this should be a relatively easy round, but they don't seem to be many of those so far. Vent drop, the bomb actually goes with. I think that's a little bit lucky. It doesn't matter, though. Do they actually retrieve it? I think they have. They have managed to get the bomb, so they've got a good chance to get the bomb plant, and that will spread the wealth. That's a little bit of extra money that, say, Config spent that he'll get back, and the other players that were lower on cash actually, wow, actually get more. But the thing is, Nico's now got a couple of kills. Like, this is starting to get worrying. Testa's, oh no, he actually catches him without a gun in hand. This is left on to Nico. He's in a 1 versus 2 clutch. This would be the worst way possible to lose yourself the map. But the best way for Nico to try and steal it away, it's all going to come down to timing. If he gets the shot right on the right player at the right time, he has an opportunity, but pushing into the corner, here's the man on the bomb, gets the first to peek out, comes in, he's close! But it's not quite enough. The bomb's ticking away, though. He's just picked up the kit in the last second, and they're actually going to get the defusal. It might be going off here, and they've lost on that! Nico manages